It's all about sheet pan meals today. I'm sharing 4 of my favorites, all 30 minutes and under, and 100% delicious. Hi, my name is Ange. If we haven't met before, welcome to the menu Maid. So I don't know about you, but I always appreciate getting to add new recipes to my weekly rotation. When I first discovered sheet pan meals, I thought, man, whoever invented them, they obviously were thinking about a busy mom. Sheet pan meals are so versatile. I feel like you can throw just about anything on a sheet pan and pop it in the oven these days. Cleanup is also super easy, which I love. Okay, no more talking. Let's get started. Okay, so first up is my chicken pesto sheet pan meal. You guys, this one is so delicious, and I love that you can use just about any kind of vegetable for this sheet pan meal. We're gonna do broccoli. I'm just gonna cut them into kind of bite-sized pieces. You wanna make sure all of the veggies are roughly the same size so that they cook evenly. I had a few mushrooms in my vegetable drawer, and so I decided to throw these in, and I just halved them. And then I also had a leftover zucchini from my garden, and I decided to chop this up as well and add this to the mix. I also have some baby potatoes. These are perfect for sheet pan meals because you don't have to peel them. You can just cut them up. They're usually already triple washed, so they're perfect for a recipe like this. And I'll just cut them in half or in quarters. It just depends on the size. Next up, we'll add all of the veggies to this large bowl, and then we will season them up. So we'll start with a little bit of olive oil. You really don't need too much because we're going to be adding the pesto, which also has some oil. I'm going to do about 3 tablespoons. I have a store brand here, but you can definitely do homemade. And then season our veggies with salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic powder. We'll give it a toss until all of the veggies are well coated. You basically want all of the veggies to have a good coating of the pesto. Okay, now we get to build our sheet pan. So I've got 4 thin chicken breasts here. I actually had 2 large ones and I just sliced them in half. And then I'll just top one side with a little bit of olive oil, and I'll just flip them over a couple of times just to coat both sides. We'll season both sides with a little bit of salt and pepper, and this is also a good time if you want to add any kind of dried herbs or other seasonings that you like. And then we're just going to take the extra pesto that we have. I'll dollop about a tablespoon on each chicken breast, and then I just use the back of my spoon to spread it out evenly, just on the one side. Now it's time to add the veggies. I'm just going to dump them all over the chicken, and then I'll just use a spoon or a fork to kind of spread them out evenly. And it's okay if some of the vegetables overlap on top of the chicken. As long as you have kind of a single even layer, that's all that counts. And then we'll pop this into a hot oven. We'll cook this about 25 minutes, and then we just have one last step. This is definitely optional, but I love adding cherry tomatoes over the top. When this goes back into the oven, it just kind of warms the tomatoes through and creates a little more of a sauce. It's so delicious. And then I top it off with Parmesan cheese, and that kind of creates this little crust over the veggies and the chicken. Okay, so just 5 more minutes back in the oven and we are ready to eat. I love how complete and filling this meal is, but it's not heavy. You have a lot of vegetables, you've got your chicken, which is a pretty light protein. It's just such a great meal. And you can definitely make a side salad or add another starch. But honestly, I feel like this is perfect. And if you're lucky enough to have leftovers, this makes an incredible lunch. The flavors get even better, and I just think it's still just as good the second day. You can definitely get creative with the vegetables, and I'd love to hear in the comments the combinations that you would do. I hope you guys enjoy this one as much as we do. You'll have to let me know what you think. And also, if this is a meal that you would make, leave a comment below or give me a thumbs up. Okay, next up, we've got sheet pan nachos. You guys, if you've never had sheet pan nachos, you are going to love these, and you'll never go back to making nachos any other way. My family loves these. I make them probably once a week. So I'm going to start with some ground turkey here. I just cook it until it's no longer pink, and then we'll add in some taco seasonings. You can definitely use ground beef here or ground chicken. And once everything is cooked, we'll just remove it from the heat and just kind of let it cool. Next, we'll get all of our toppings ready. I like to chop up some red onion. You can also do green onion. And then I usually go a little heavy on the tomatoes because I love tomatoes with any kind of taco dish. So I'll just usually chop up a few extras and I end up putting them all over my nachos when they come out of the oven. I also had a leftover half of a jalapeno in the refrigerator, so I just sliced that up into thin rings. And then we're gonna make this super easy avocado salsa verde to put over the top of the nachos when they come out of the oven. This stuff is so good. Honestly, I love to just make a bowl and eat it with tortilla chips. So as you can see, I just mashed up some avocados, and then I'm gonna use about a half a can of green salsa verde. We'll add in a little bit of fresh lime juice, and then I'm gonna chop up some cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you can definitely leave it out, but I love it, and it just makes it so yummy. And then we're gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper and just give it a stir. That's it. And if you wanna add a little creaminess to this, you can definitely throw in a little bit of sour cream. It makes it super yummy. Okay, let's build our nachos. I'm so excited. So I'm actually gonna do something a little bit different this time. I'm gonna do one half with tortilla chips and the other half I'm gonna do with some grilled mini peppers that I have to kind of create a little lower carb version. We've got a low carber in the family right now, so that way we can all enjoy nacho night. So for the peppers, I just put these on my outdoor grill just for a minute or two on each side just to char them. I still wanted them to hold their shape, and then I cut them in half and remove the seeds. So they're like the perfect little boat to hold all of the toppings. I added a layer of cheese over the top of the chips and the peppers and a few black beans, and then I'm just gonna top it with my taco meat here. And then I'll just add my jalapeno slices to the side with the chips, and then I'm just gonna add a little bit of red onion over everything, some black olives, and more cheese. And then this goes into the hot oven until the cheese is nice and melted. And I have to tell you, while this is baking in the oven, your house will smell so good, like everyone will come running to the kitchen for dinner. Okay, it's time to wrap this up. We're gonna add the fresh tomatoes over the top of everything, and then I add the avocado salsa verde. I don't skimp on this, and then if we have any extras, then we're usually all diving into it during dinner. It's just so good. What I love about sheet pan nachos is every single nacho is the perfect bite. It's like the center money piece. I hope that you try sheet pan nachos. You will be addicted. Okay, so the third recipe I'm going to share with you is my smoked sausage sheet pan meal. So I normally make this with chicken apple sausage, but I ended up having one of those turkey smoked sausage and thought I would just do that instead. So we're going to start with our veggies. I've got some onion here. I just sliced it into kind of like 1/2 inch slices, and then I've got a yellow and a red pepper here. I like to cut a pepper around the seeds like this. It's just so much easier, and then you don't have seeds all over the place. I just discovered this not too long ago. And then we're gonna cut the peppers into these little like 1-inch cubes. Okay, I'm bringing back the baby potatoes. These ones are red. Again, I love these because you don't have to peel them. And I'm just gonna cut them like into quarters or just in half if they're smaller ones. Okay, so now we're gonna slice up our smoked turkey sausage. I happen to really like just the plain smoked turkey sausage. I don't really care for the kielbasa one. And then again, like I said, I love the chicken apple sausage. That's usually what I use for this recipe, and that's what's on my website. So I just cut them into like 1/2-inch slices. And then we'll just add all of our veggies and our meat to this large bowl here, and we'll just season them with really simple seasonings. I've got a little bit of olive oil, a little salt and pepper, some garlic powder, Italian seasoning, and then I like to do a little smoked paprika. I just feel like it really brings out that smokiness in the sausage. And then we'll just give it a toss until all of the veggies and meat are well coated. You'll want to spray your sheet pan really well with nonstick cooking spray, or you can use some parchment paper, and then just spread out the meat and the veggies until you have a nice even layer. Pop it in a hot oven for like 25 to 30 minutes, and it's perfect. The potatoes are tender and they have little crispy edges on them from caramelizing in the oven, and the peppers and the onions are just slightly crisp. And again, this is another meal that really doesn't need anything extra, but you can definitely do a green salad or maybe some fresh green beans. And this sheet pan meal also makes fantastic leftovers the next day. Again, the flavors just get better over time. My daughter and I love to dip our little sausages in mustard, but you can do barbecue sauce or ketchup. So easy, so yummy. We hope you guys enjoy. Okay, recipe number 4, chicken and steak fajitas sheet pan meal. If you are not in the mood to stand over the stove and make fajitas, this is the way to do it. We're going to start by slicing our chicken first. You want to make sure that it's sliced super, super thin. The whole idea is that everything will cook at the same time. And this is especially helpful when you're doing both steak and chicken. So I'll add my sliced chicken in its own separate bowl while I prepare the steak. It's super important when you're slicing the steak to go against the grain. So whichever way the grain is going, you want to slice it the opposite. And just like the chicken, we want to make sure to slice it super thin. Okay, now that we have both of our meat in separate bowls, we're going to go ahead and get our veggies ready. So I have a large red onion here. I'm just going to use about half of it, and then I'm just going to slice it into about 1/4 to 1/2 inch slices. I feel like if the veggies are sliced too thin, then they end up coming out kind of mushy, and you definitely want them crisp, tender for fajitas. So now that our veggies are prepared, I'm just going to toss them all together so that they're evenly combined. And then we're just going to take half of our veggies and add them to this large bowl here. We'll go ahead and add all of our chicken. And then I've got some homemade fajita seasoning here. I'm going to add half of this to the chicken and veggie mixture. We'll add a little bit of olive oil, and I'm just going to toss everything until it's well coated. So once everything is well coated, we'll go ahead and transfer this chicken and veggie mixture back to the little bowl that we had the chicken in, and then we'll repeat the steps with the steak. We'll add the rest of the veggies, add the steak, and then we'll add our fajita seasoning and a little bit of olive oil. Again, just give everything a toss until it's well coated. All right, there's that sheet pan again. So let's go ahead and spray it with nonstick cooking spray. And then on one side, we're gonna add our chicken and veggies. I'm just gonna use my clean hands here. You kind of wanna pull apart the chicken because it kind of clumps together when it's all mixed with the veggies and the seasonings. So you just want to make sure that you don't have any large clumps of meat so that everything cooks evenly. And then we'll do the exact same thing on the other side with the steak and the veggies. Just use your hands to kind of pull apart the meat because it will kind of stick together. And we just want to make sure that when this cooks, everything is in a nice single layer. So this is ready to go in the oven, and because this cooks at a really high heat, and then we're going to actually end up broiling the top at the very end, it really doesn't need to cook all that long. I think this goes into the oven for a total of like 15 minutes. So it's a really, really fast roasting time, and then I just like to broil the top to get the little crispy bits. Okay, we are on the final steps, and then we get to enjoy some fajitas. So I like to add some fresh tomatoes to the top. I don't cook these. There's just something about that cold, crisp tomato flavor. And then I'm gonna add a generous amount of cilantro. I just feel like it really brightens up the flavor and just makes it fresh. And this is really for presentation, but I like to add some sliced limes to the top. Of course, we use these, but it just makes it look pretty and festive. And then we're just gonna add on one side, I've got some tortillas here that I've warmed in the oven and some foil, or you can do them on the stovetop to get some crispiness to them. Whatever floats your boat. This is so, so good. I know that you guys are gonna enjoy this sheet pan meal, and the steak and chicken combo is just fun because everybody gets a little something that they like. So as you can see, sheet pan meals are just so fun to make. They're versatile. You can get creative with them. They're delicious. The cleanup is easy. Like, I could go on and on about how much I love making sheet pan meals. If you'd love to see more videos like this, tap the subscribe button and follow along. I'd love to connect with you. I hope that this video gave you some inspiration and maybe just some fresh new recipes to put in your rotation. Links for all of these sheet pan meals are down below, and I would love to hear your favorite sheet pan meal combinations in the comments below. Well, I really enjoyed spending time with you today, so we will see you next time.